Why is it that sometimes people with Asperger's syndrome pretend to be somebody they are not or try to put on a false face? We call this masking. And masking is defined, number one, as a set of behaviors just to fit in. Well, there seems to be a problem with masking, not just for us, but for everybody, and that is typically the mask never fits perfectly. That is to say, when we do masking, try to fit in, try to be like other people, it's kind of obvious that we're faking it. Not necessarily always, but there seems to be a little bit of a tinge of, I don't know about this guy. Is there something wrong with him? No, we call that the Uncanny Valley. There's actually a term for that. And the Uncanny Valley is a term that was derived from, well, robotics. There were robots that were made, that have been made, that are almost human. That you can, this is kind of in theory, but you take a robot that is almost perfectly human and you put it in a movie, cinematic feature, and people know this is supposed to be a robot, but it's a human robot. And they find that people don't people go to the movies, they don't like that character because they know there's something slightly amiss. Okay, they're just actors, right? But still, that character is not liked because the people watching the movie get into it and they say, geez, this person, this robot, we know it's not perfect, we know it's not human. We don't like this. We don't like this person, this character. Same thing is true with people with Asperger syndrome. Is when we try to mask, people tend to figure it out. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not a very good actor. I'm not a very good masker. I put on a mask, and it's not like I'm almost human. It's like, yeah, you're wearing a mask. Halloween, kids come around. One of them's wearing a mask of a witch. Maybe one of them's wearing a mask of, I don't know, hockey player, whatever they put on, and it's kind of obvious, this is not a hockey player. He's only 4 feet tall. He's like probably a kid. Yeah, actually he is a kid. And, the one with the monster mask, I'm pretty sure that's not Frankenstein. Okay, that's me. When I put on my mask, it's kind of more like Halloween than actually trying to convince people. But I tried to convince people, but I'm pretty sure I'm not Frankenstein. Most people with Asperger's syndrome that I've encountered are much better at masking than I am. Well, you got to keep in mind that that is because masking is, number two, it's kind of intrusive, not just for the one wearing the mask, rather, but for those who are observing the person with the mask, have to live with it. So you put on your mask, you're faking it, you're trying to fit in with others, and it's not you. It's kind of a heavy mask to wear. And the others may not figure it out, but what they can figure out is that you're just not comfortable. So that part of it, okay, they got it. Number three is this. We wear masks so that we can suppress attributes. Now, this is where we get into the types of masks that we wear. For example, if you're a person with Asperger's syndrome and you have a special interest, there is something that you probably do when you get around other people when the occasion presents itself, and that is you will talk about that particular interest. Now, you may not talk about anything else ever, but when that topic comes up, or if you kind of bring it up in a conversation, then suddenly you become the talker and you don't shut up about it. Well, a lot of people with Asperger syndrome realize they're doing that, and so they suppress that urge to talk about something incessantly that other people really don't care about, or maybe if they do care about it, they may disagree with you about it. And a good example of that would be politics, or maybe religion. So you may get on this tantrum about some religious doctrine or about some political point of view that you're really adamant about, and other people, A, they don't care about it, or two, they really disagree, or B, rather, they really disagree with what you're saying. Be better if you just don't say anything. So we mask. We suppress that attribute to talk about special interest. Another thing is, touching. I don't know about you, but as a person with Asperger syndrome, I find touching, hugging in particular, to be particularly bothersome. There are some people, I know they're just being nice, but when they see you for even the first time, first thing they want to do is give you a hug. Maybe it's just a polite thing, or kind of cheek to cheek little hug, and back off. It depends on where you are. Usually in like an informal family setting, people don't do that in the grocery store. At least I hope not. But as a person with Asperger syndrome, no, I prefer fist bump about as far as I go. You don't have to hug me. I know you're a decent person. People do that by habit. I guess they're just loving people and they like to express that. Okay, so what do we do? Well, sometimes we have to suppress that attribute, the attribute being a dislike of hugging. And so we go ahead and we let people hug us. Sometimes I try to fight them off. Not physically, but I say, oh no, you don't need to hug me. They do it anyhow. So we try to mask, we try to get them not to do it, but they do it anyhow, so we go along with it, and going along with it is masking. So I would ask you, what are some of those attributes that you have that you try to suppress? Things that you do because you are an Aspie. Maybe the fact a lot of Aspies are just very quiet people. Some of them aren't. But other than their special interests, they just don't say anything anytime, and we mask that by speaking up. That is where my mask just does not fit. I mean, it's obviously not me. People try to make small talk with me, and what happens is my brain immediately goes into a scramble mode. And just like confusion, just because, by virtue of the fact that someone's talking to me, even if it's a short hello. And when my brain is what was the word I said? Scrambled? Not sprangled. Scrambled. Then my words come out scrambled or sprangled. And it's kind of obvious, I'm trying to carry on a conversation here. I'm trying to put on that mask, but that mask really, really doesn't fit. And people wind up thinking that I'm really weird, which I guess I kind of am. But it would be better off if I didn't say anything at all, maybe, but then they think you're aloof. So sometimes I will give them a wave to people, give them a thumbs up or whatever, and hopefully they will understand I'm not being aloof, but I don't want to talk. What about number 4, enhancing our attributes, things that we normally don't do, that we try to do through masking? One of those is eye contact. I don't know about you, but I don't like to look people in the eye. Now, as I get older, I'm getting a little bit better at that. I'm pushing 70 years old, and over these many years, I've learned a few things, and I like to share these with people. Because, well, that's one of the benefits of being older, is you have those experiences and you can help others who are younger along the way. So that's why I make these videos. But eye contact, getting a little bit easier than it used to be. But I found a couple masks that tend to work. One of them is look a person in the eye, not to look them in the eye, but to check out their eye color. And suddenly the inhibition to look people in the eye just kind of dissipates. It goes away. So it's perfectly okay to check out their eye color. But what do you do once you get their eye color? Well, because that only takes, a second or a nanosecond? Well, then what I find is very useful, a mask, is to play a little game. People don't like this usually, but I play a little game. It's called Who is Going to Look Away First? You ever had a staring contest with somebody? So, you don't try to look like you're having a staring contest. You try to look pleasant, but you look at them in the eye. And you say to yourself, who's going to look away first? So you're really not looking them in the eye. You're playing a game. I don't necessarily recommend that because some people find it bothersome because they think, you're trying to make a staring contest out of this. Another area that I find where I try to mask, and I think you probably do this too, as we already mentioned, is conversation. But now we're not talking about brief conversations where we just pass somebody in a supermarket or when we're out and about. But I'm talking about when you are sitting with somebody and the situation calls for a conversation. I really struggle with that because, quite frankly, my mind is not preset. I've got this what is called mind blindness, and if you have Asperger syndrome, you probably have the same thing, where it just doesn't come natural. Conversation to most people just comes natural. It just flows out. They have things to say. They talk. Some people overdo it. They don't know when to shut up. But when I'm in a situation where there should be a conversation, I have no idea what to talk about. What do you talk about? Talk about the weather. We could talk about that for so long. Talk about sports. Well, maybe if you're into sports, I'm not. What? Are you into cars? Talk about cars. If you're talking to a woman, chances are she's not into cars. She doesn't understand that, or doesn't care to understand it, I should say. What do you talk about? I really don't have anything to talk about. I wonder what would happen if somebody had an Aspie convention and they invited me to be a speaker. I think I would decline to come. What am I going to talk about? To whom? I mean, not on the stage. I do fine on the stage, but once you get off the stage, people expect you to talk to them. I mean, what do you do at an Aspie conversation? You just ignore each other? I don't know how that works. Something to think about. See those two rectangles on the screen? If you like what you hear, want to hear some more, let's keep on talking. All you got to do is click one of those two rectangles, and our conversation will continue. But if not, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see y'all next time.